here at the Discovery Museum for a meeting with the museum director, Iain Watson, to talk about his opinions on the Black Portraits exhibition.
So hi Iain, we are going to talk about the Black Portraits exhibition upstairs. If you like, we can walk over there and just talk about the exhibition, talk about Paul Piercy, talk about the museum in general, if that's okay?
That's fine. Let's just walk through Discovery Museum as we head off. And this museum, whose history goes back to being an old cooperative society, nowadays it's the museum of social history, of industrial history, of the people of Tyneside. And that's one of the reasons that why we're so keen to show diverse bits of history, not just locally, but regionally, nationally and internationally as well.
Paul Piercy, did he approach you or did you approach him?
Paul got in touch with us, and I can't remember how long ago it was. It's probably two or 3 years ago, and we get quite a lot of people who approach us for various reasons. They want an exhibition, they've got an idea for an event, and sometimes there's just something about somebody or about their approach, their email, the phone call, that kind of interests you and excites you, and you think, this is a bit different, I wonder what's behind. I've never heard of Paul, but this idea, which sounded a little bit unusual, a little bit strange, I just thought, I want to know more. So got back in touch with Paul, arranged a meeting, and find out a bit more about the Black Portraits and really what had motivated him and what had driven him as somebody living in the UK to explore this sort of international story about social justice and injustice. And I thought it was something we wanted to get involved with in some way.
Definitely.
At the time, I didn't quite know what it was going to be or what involvement was going to be. We had various different ideas. But in fact, it's actually come together in what I think is a brilliant exhibition. So the Black Portraits exhibition is one piece of work within our strand of work around social justice, and there'll be a very big presence around that theme next year in 2017, which will be the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King coming to Newcastle and being awarded an honorary degree by Newcastle University, the only university outside the UK to award him that honorary degree. And to mark that, we'll be presenting exhibitions both at Discovery Museum and at the Great North Museum, marking not only Martin Luther King in his work, but the changes in civil rights and freedoms that have occurred over that 50 years. And if you think 50 years ago is the time of decriminalisation of male homosexuality, it's the time of the Race Relations Act, it's the time of the Sex Discrimination Act, really giving in the UK a greater degree of equality than people had previously had. And whilst I'm not naive enough to think that everything is equal, there has been a significant change for the better in many people's lives over that 50-year period which we want to mark.
Fantastic. Other than the Martin Luther King stuff, do you have any other plans for anything to do with human rights in the next couple of years at the museum?
Well, we're currently working on a project as well with food banks. We have in Newcastle the largest, most used food bank in the UK. We did a project with people using that and with an artist sort of working with those, again to document the lives of people and make it clear that people have certain preconceptions about people who use food banks. Those preconceptions are very probably wrong. There are homeless people who use that, but also the people who are not homeless are relying on food banks because they haven't got the money to buy the food for themselves and for their families.
Okay, well that's cool. Also, can you tell me maybe any feedback you've heard about Paul Piercy's exhibition from anyone else? Is there anything that stands out that someone's come and said to you about it? Or
I think the thing that really sort of impressed me in terms of the public reaction to Paul's work was when we held the opening do and sort of seeing and watching how people were in the gallery and responded to the paintings. And you could really see that connection, the interest, the fascination, and the thoughtfulness that was clearly on people's faces when they looked at the paintings.